Welcome to Wisdom Journey, the podcast where we'll cover the lessons, mindsets, shifts, and stories behind extraordinary people building meaningful lives and businesses. Today's guest is someone who has spent more than 2 decades scaling companies, navigating high-stakes industries, and helping entrepreneurs turn bold ideas into sustainable business. Joining us is Dan Beech, entrepreneur, investor, founder, and managing partner at Beechworks. Dan has built and led companies across industries, including real estate, lending, blockchain technology, healthcare, wealth management, and consumer products. Over the years, he has helped scale businesses to more than $30 million in annual revenue, managed teams of over 200 employees, and advised ultra-high net worth clients, including billionaires, on financial and growth strategies. In this episode, we explore how entrepreneurs can validate ideas before wasting time and money, and what it takes to build traction in competitive markets, lessons from scaling across multiple industries, and how emerging technologies like blockchain can solve real-world business problems. Welcome to the podcast, Dan.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, you're welcome. I want us to step back a bit. You started your university journey at just 16 years old. How did beginning so early shape the way you think about opportunity, ambition, and leadership?
I think that I think I was really blessed. My mom is a PhD, a doctor of education, and
Wow.
she gave me just as like a core identity kind of skill set, a natural curiosity. She made learning fun. That's the right way to say it. So she made learning fun, which made me then curious about the world. And I think that really translates to an entrepreneurial journey, a lot of what entrepreneurs are doing is finding a new way of doing something, or finding a gap in something that either isn't working or is broken, and then asking the question why. Why is that gap there? Why is this not working? And then finding a solution to solve it. So I think it kind of starts with curiosity.
Yeah. You've walked across industries like real estate, blockchain, healthcare, lending, and wealth management. What core business principles stay the same no matter the industry?
That's a great question. I think, just sticking to real human core values, authenticity, honesty, integrity. Without those things, really, no matter what else you're doing, you might have short-term success, but if you're really trying to build for the long term, I think you have to lead with those.
Yeah, a lot of people chase ideas without validating them first. What are some practical ways entrepreneurs can test a business idea before investing heavily?
Wow. I could talk for a couple of hours about that.
Yeah,
we
let's go.
we're actually quite proud of. We have our own at Beechworks. We have our own go-to-market framework to launch and scale companies, and really, at least 50% of that is what you just asked. How do you validate? So we start with the assumption that we start from the place that all of our assumptions about what we're going to build or what we think people want are a hypothesis until it's proven. So we want to, in some small way, gain some kind of validation from the customer before we spend time, money, or, any other resources, whether maybe it's, allocating a team member to doing something. So I think that starts with having a little humility, because entrepreneurs are the people that are breaking trends. They're out there just driving forward on the strength of their willpower already. So entrepreneurs can be kind of strong-willed people, and I think that's essential to success. But without a little bit of humility to say, okay, I think this is the way it is. I think my customers are going to like the blue widget better than the yellow widget. Without validating that, from a customer first, you're really just guessing. It's really just a hypothesis. So we've developed all kinds of ways to test ideas. For example, say you had this one we call a smoke test. We can build a quick, easy little ad. We're going to run it on Meta, and it's advertising a product, advertising a solution, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we we may not even have the fully formed idea yet, but really what we're looking is somebody to click on the call to action. So just that is a validation that you're on the right path. They may click to a landing page that says, "Oh, sorry, we're all sold out," or we don't have this product yet. Join the wait list.
Yeah.
So we look for ways like that. Something like that, you can spend $10 on running Meta ads, and so you can have cheap, quick validation before you take the next steps. That's just one
Yeah.
example. I could give you 100 more.
How about give me two more?
What's that?
I said, how about giving me two more? I mean,
Oh, two more. Okay, sure.
yeah.
Um, another thing um, uh, where entrepreneurs launching something new get stuck, I think a lot, is trying to figure out the pricing. Like how much do I charge? Being afraid of undercharging and overcharging. And so there's a specific methodology that we use for that. It's called Van Westendorp pricing methodology, and it's from a very famous economist. Developed this process. First step is to very clearly define your target customer. You need to really know who the buyer is, and so you want to run this pricing test specifically for that target customer. And so then you're going to ask them, at what price does this product or service feel like it's too cheap and you wouldn't trust that it's quality? At what price do you feel like this is priced at a bargain? This would be a real value for this product or service. At what price does it feel like it's slightly overcharging, but you'd still consider it? You'd still pay that. And at what price is it just ridiculously too expensive? So you create a little bit of a framework around that. You don't want people just to put in $10,000 as a joke, right? So you put a framework between $10 and $100, and then you ask those 4 questions. So now you've accumulated all of that data, and it goes through a very specific calculation. It'll give you the median price, and it'll land on a pricing that it is where you can launch. And I've been really surprised. There was a product that we were launching, and I was expecting that the price would be maybe $45 a month. This was a subscription service.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised to see that people were willing to pay $100 a month for it.
Wow.
Double what my expectation was. So we can run those surveys online. Those will cost a little bit. If you wanted to do it just pretty cheaply and easily, you could go to say, for example, you picked coffee shop, Starbucks, in the neighborhood that has your target customer, and offer, hey, I'll buy your coffee if you help me price this new, if you answer my survey. So you give somebody a $10 gift certificate. You could get, for $100, you could get 10 really great opinions on this pricing, and maybe get some feedback. Maybe you get an early waitlist customer out of that as well.
For a business that's just starting in a competitive industry and they're bootstrapping, so it's not like they have investor millions. How do they actually grow build traction in competitive markets?
That is the $1 million question. So there's an old saying, first-time founders focus on the product. Serial founders focus on the distribution. There's a million good ideas. Good ideas are not the challenge. Finding people that are willing to pay, that's the challenge. There's a great book that I would recommend to answer your question. It's called Traction. It's by Gabriel Weinberg. And the idea with this book, and this is built into our methodology now, we start with 20 different broad categories of where you could find a customer. So, for example, the obvious ones are social media, writing a blog post, SEO, forming a partnership, right? So we have defined 20 broad categories where you could find a customer. And so we go through this exercise. Most people just default to social media automatically. But what if your customer isn't on social media, right? Like there's a really famous quote from one of the original founders of Ferrari. And a reporter had asked him, why don't you run commercials advertising Ferraris? And the answer was, our customers are not watching TV. So what if now, same thing, right? Social media is the modern day equivalent of running an ad on TV. What if your customer isn't there? How are you going to connect with them? Or what if your customer is there, but there's so much noise on social media? What if there's a cheaper, better way of connecting with them? So what our framework does, our traction framework does, is it forces you to think outside of your normal comfort level into other ways where you could find customers. For example, we ask ourselves, if the only way to get a customer was through a blog post, how would we do that, and who would the blog people be? If the only way to get our customer was by creating a strategic partnership with some other company that was already running, who would that be, and how would we do that? If the only way, this one's my favorite, because it's always really fun. If the only way to get our customer would be through some crazy PR stunt, what would that be, and how could we do it? Right? Like, is that dressing up in a suit and going down to the beach? Is that doing side work art in the downtown of your whatever city you happen to be in, wherever there's a lot of eyeballs that could be on it? So we go through this exercise where it's really a fun, creative brainstorming, where we're trying to force our minds into thinking of outside of the box solutions. And then we take that as the initial step. We then take all of that data and as many people as we can get. Usually we have our team plus a few other people, right? So we want 10 different people putting input in 20 different categories. So now you have 300 ideas, 200 ideas. What do you do with that? Because they're all good ideas. Some are going to be more expensive than others. Some are going to be more easier to implement. Some are going to be appropriate at your stage of development, and some might be appropriate at another stage of development. For example, what's the best, if you're a startup, right? You want to focus on what's the cheapest, best, fastest way to get my first 100 customers? And then once you've gotten the first 100 customers, the same solutions that got you to 100 might not work from 100 to 1,000, right? Then you go back to your traction list. So, okay, which of these ideas get us from 100 to 1,000? Now, which of these ideas get us from 1,000 to 10,000 or 100,000, right? So you have to do this analysis also at the stage where you are. So we take this traction list, we make a grid. It's really just an XY axis. where we're evaluating um, difficulty or cost, high and low, and expected customer impact, high or low. And so what ends up happening is, out of all of these, call it a couple hundred ideas, the ones that are in the top left corner, the cheapest or fastest to implement with the highest impact, those are the ones that you start with. So that's how out of 200 ideas, you end up with maybe 5 or 6. And so then you take those 5 or 6 and you start doing the cheap, quick testing, like we were just talking about. Run an ad, see who clicks on it. Go to, same idea. We talked about going to the Starbucks for a pricing survey, but what if you just did the same thing with, hey, I'm a, tell your story. I'm a student and I'm launching this to help support my family. Would you join the wait list for this product? Tell me your opinions. Tell me how something like this might help your life, right? And I'll buy your coffee to for your time, something like that, right? So whatever quick, cheap little tests that you can run, that will validate whether those ideas are successful or not. And then eventually you'll find some traction in one of those channels. And that's where you spend your time and your money and your resources. Very methodical.
So we validate the business and we also validate the marketing channel.
Yes. To validate the business, I think you want to start a little bit earlier.
Yeah, of course, the business idea.
Yeah. There's another great book I'll recommend to you. It's called The Mom Test. Eric Ries. And so what a lot of business or let me say that differently. What a lot of startup founders, the mistake that they make is they've got a good idea. They feel passionately about it. Maybe they've figured out what their traction channel is, where to go find those customers. And now they're, this concept I'm leading to is push and pull. So now they're going to take this idea, take this product, take this traction channel, and push it into the market, right? So they're trying to find product market fit by pushing it there. They're running ads, they're out hustling and making sales, whatever it is, right? That's you as the founder pushing into the marketplace.
Yeah.
If you have done your pre-work where you've talked to the customers first and you've built a product that's solving their pain, then when you reach this product market fit stage, it's reversed. It's market product fit. That's an Andreessen quote. If you've developed the product that's solving the customer problem, the market will pull you to it. The demand for, hey, help me, hey, solve my problem, hey, do this job for me, your product is doing this job for me, then the market will pull you into it. So that's what you're looking for. And you can't do that unless you've started first with customer discovery and trying your best to understand the problem that a customer is solving or experiencing so that you can solve it with your solution.
Yeah.
It's really a customer-driven product that you should be building. But the Mom Test will change your life. If you read that, there's a very specific way to do this customer discovery so that you ask the questions in the right way, that you get honest feedback and you get the unbiased feedback that you want.
Because a lot of time when people think of marketing channels, they're like, oh, I have to spend a lot of money, pay that, spend a lot of budget and all that. I'm always thinking of how can we do this cheap?
Yeah, absolutely. Even if you, I'll expand that concept a little bit. Even if you had a budget, Even if
Okay.
you had a significantly sized budget, you should still do the steps that I'm describing. Why would you waste your money, right? If you can run cheap, quick tests for 10, 20, $50, why would you spend thousands? So even if you have a big budget, you still want to go through these steps to validate you're solving a problem, validate people want your solution, and validate that this traction channel resonates with your target customer. And only then do you commit serious time and resources, money.
Hey, quick break. Before we continue, I'd love for you to join the Wisdom Journey newsletter. Every week, I share exclusive insights, tools, and behind the scenes updates to help you stay ahead in your own journey of building an online business. It's simple, practical, and built to help you grow. Sign up today for free at the link in the description. Now, let's get back to the episode. Yeah. Well, I mean, what if the channel that you tried and it's working, it's free, but it's not scalable. It's not that scalable. How do you approach that? Do you pivot to a different channel that it's easy to scale? Or do you just keep doing that channel?
That's a great question. Can you give me an example
Okay,
of what you're
I'll
thinking?
give an example. So I run a local media business. So it's a local newsletter, right? And so it's email. We send newsletters twice a week with what's happening in the city. Now, I grew the newsletter using WhatsApp status. So I tell friends and families share, post on status, and people would subscribe. Now, I did run Facebook ads. That seems to be working, but that costs money. Now, with WhatsApp, it's free, but it's not like other platforms where there's algorithms. So I have to find friends, and oftentimes when friends share it, like it's the same friends I have, and so even if they share it and people subscribe, it's the same friends those friends have. And so it's not, it gets to a point where even if they post, nobody subscribe because the people who would subscribe, they've already seen it. And so it doesn't really make sense for them to subscribe again. So how do you go about scaling such a channel, even though it seems to work fine?
Hmm. And so let me understand. So the newsletter is about local events in this community.
Yeah.
Okay. How large is the community?
How large is the community?
How many
But
people?
like, that's about 1.2 million.
Okay. And what do you have so far? Subscribers.
I'm just starting out. I have about 113.
Okay. So you don't have a problem that you've maxed out the
No, no,
potential
no, no, no.
customers.
I've not even touched anything.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Is there a specific type of event? Like, is there a specific category? Like, is it music related, or is it maybe
I mean,
food related, or something like that?
it's it's a mix of all. Like it's not like it's just events so that people can know where to go to and things happening in the city. But it's not
Okay.
news. No, we don't do news.
Okay. I would. That's probably smart. You stay out of the news and just keep it fun.
Yeah, leave it for the big guys.
Yeah. I would try to leverage other people's networks. So, for example, if you could start somehow with a couple of name people that could produce an article, and then they're going to share to their network because they've wanted exposure and you've given that to them.
Or when they ask for payment,
Hmm?
when they ask for payments for for writing the article.
Some will. Some just want the exposure. Like I'm the perfect example, right? I'm doing this podcast. I'm not getting paid.
Yeah.
I didn't ask for payment. I'm not interested. To me, it's creating awareness for myself. So, you'll find somebody that that'd be willing to just they have something to say to the world or
Yeah.
their community, and you're giving them an outlet to do that. You have some initial people already that are subscribing. I would just be really transparent. I'm launching this. I'm building this. This is my vision.
Yeah.
This is, have convey your passion for why you're doing this. And, I'd really like you to be a part of this. Do you have something you could contribute? Maybe another way of thinking about that is also to create, if possible, create a community around the concept.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of one of our products, companies that we're launching is called Archively. It's solving a problem that we have here in, I was going to say America, but really North America, where people plan their documents for the end of life, trust, wills, medical directives, all of that. And they create a very careful plan, but what's missing is access, the infrastructure for the beneficiaries or the kids or whoever to access those documents when something's happened to mom and dad or in an emergency. So there's a gap that we're filling.
Yeah.
And one of the ways that as a strategic vision for that, to create a moat around this concept, is by getting estate planning attorneys to be part of a community effort to talk about the best practices for how these documents should be set up, how they should be drafted, problems to avoid. And so we're creating a community where, whatever the percentage, right? Like 90% of what happens in this community is just education and advice. And maybe 10% is our solution as the storage medium for that. And so we have people lined up that are experts on AI,
Yeah.
right? So we start a community discussion. How has AI affected your job as an estate planning attorney? So
Yeah.
we bring this community together, talking about some relevant idea, and now we're positioned as a thought leader around this subject, and we're providing value to whoever's listening, to all of the estate planning attorneys that are in the community, and we haven't asked for anything from them. They've all received value by participating, but yet our solution is there should it be needed. So maybe you can do, I don't know your newsletter that well, but maybe you can create some kind of a community around it,
Yeah.
which doesn't cost you anything, right? You just get people talking.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That would be lovely. One thing I've also considered is going to the ring road, center of the city, and there's a lot of traffic there, and just handing out flyers and see if that works.
See if it works. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe you can make, I don't know, some of the like crazy fun PR kind of ideas that we've had in the past is make a treasure hunt, right? Like through the busy part of downtown where there's lots of people. You spark someone's curiosity, they go down this treasure hunt, and at the end of it, there's something that's fun and memorable, and it's associated with, in your case, the newsletter. There's so many great, the like I said, those to me are the fun ones, because you get to be like a little bit crazy and
yeah.
think outside of the box of what everybody else is doing, and that's could be the separator for you.
Yeah, yeah, that just sparked an idea. I could do a giveaway, but instead of using my money to do the giveaway, I partner with a company to sponsor the giveaway. Because
Yeah.
then if the thing, yeah, and that's that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh,
Food, restaurants, some restaurant that
yeah,
it maybe it's a new restaurant they've just opened, right? So they're looking for publicity also. They're looking for
yeah,
awareness. They're looking for people coming in the door. That's like a perfect person to partner with, or any other new business that's looking for brand awareness. Um, that's perfect. You guys can do it together.
yeah. Oh, that'll be lovely. I think it's, once the growth starts, because I've been noticing that some of the members they'll share without me even knowing. Like they post on the status without me asking them to do. And I just, I stumble upon the post randomly and I'm like, oh wow, so they're sharing. And they're like, oh wow, this is so valuable. And I was like, wow, wow.
Yeah.
And if I can give them kind of an incentive, since they're already sharing in a way, just not to reward them for sharing. So and that would kind of compound.
And if you can like to your point, like build in the viral nature uh,
Yeah.
of it, make it easy for the people that randomly stumbled upon it, um, you know, to share it and create a little bit of a viral.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, my head feels heavy right now. A lot of ideas. Okay, now this leads me to the next question. We've talked
Mm.
about, so many ideas, and a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with balancing the vision and execution. So many ideas, and now you actually have to go execute those ideas. How do you personally approach that balance? Is there a balance?
What do you mean? I'm not sure I understand your question.
Okay. Entrepreneurs, they have this crazy vision. I mean, so many ideas popping. I mean, they have a business already. Like in my case, I have a newsletter, a local media brand, and now I have so many ideas of okay, marketing, things to do, not just in the marketing, retention, making the product better. So many ideas, but yet so little time, so little resources. It's not like I'm not a I'm not a big company with millions of dollars where I can hire everybody. I've not gotten there yet. And but these ideas are there and I actually need to execute. So how do I go about balancing which and which to execute and say, okay, this is lovely, but let's just wait on it for a little while.
Mm, mm, mm. That's a great question. So our approach for things like that is
Yeah,
um, two concepts. Um, the first concept is when you have so much that's um, possible, you can't do it all.
yeah,
It, e- Even if you were a big company, right? Like you said, hey, I'm not a big company. I don't have those kind of time and resources.
yeah,
Even if you are a big company, there's still a limit of time and resources. So small solo entrepreneur, large company, they both have the same restraints of people, money, time, and more things coming at them than they have. So um, it's a problem no matter how big or small you are. The way that we sort of think about that is in a couple of different components. Number one, try to niche down as much as possible. Whatever your idea is, try to think of the smallest group possible that would be your customer and start there. Like, say you had you were developing some product
yeah,
that I'll give you an example. One of our other products is a patent pending freeze dried solution for it's a clean label replacement for a gummy. Any supplement that you could deliver by a gummy,
yeah,
we can replace with this completely clean label, 100% fruit solution. So imagine the world of gummies. There's everything being delivered by gummies, right? It's
Yeah.
it's this huge thing. How do we figure out where to start? So niching down to the smallest group possible that has the biggest heat around it. So
Hmm.
we talked about doing customer discovery, right?
Yeah.
Part of that customer discovery is to listen in an effective way where you're hearing the customers tell you the problems that they're experiencing in their life. And out of all of those problems, which one is the hair on fire problem? Like, is it is it or another analogy, is it the is it a broken leg problem? Like if you've got a stool and it's not comfortable, the back support isn't very great, it's a little bit wobbly because one of the legs is slightly shorter. Those are all problems with the stool. But
Yeah.
if one of the legs is broken, it's not useful as a stool at all. You can't use it as a stool. So that's step one, is identify that the problem that you're trying to solve is a broken leg problem. It's a big enough problem that people say, yes, I want to do that. So if you've got 100 ideas, that's how you're sorting through which ones should you focus on. It could be that's a way of limiting to the most targeted as a product or a solution fit, and then from the customer fit, identifying the smallest group of people that have that broken leg problem. So, for example, you could say, um, okay, my product is solving a problem for women. Okay, what age? Is it 18 to 25-year-olds? Is it 30 to 30, 39-year-olds? And okay, it's 25 to 32-year-olds. Okay, where do they live? What kind of job do they have? What's their viewpoint of the world? Are they pessimistic? Are they optimistic? What kind of personality traits do the people, does that look for? How far you can niche down to the exact person that when they see your solution or product, they say, oh wow, that's for me. That's where you start. So if you you have to make sure that you're solving a broken leg problem and that you've identified the core, we call it ICP, ideal customer profile. You've built as small of a niche as possible, and then you go through the traction thought process where you're validating what's the cheapest and best way to reach that core person with this broken leg, hair on fire problem.
Yeah.
And everything else falls away, right? The other 99 ideas that you had and you weren't sure where to start, now you know this is the one, and this is great. It's not the end destination, but it's the first step on my journey, and I can start making money, start getting customers, start getting subscribers, whatever it is that you're trying to do. And then that's when you expand into adding the other features or adding a slightly different target customer, expanding the definition of who you're solving the problem for. That's how I would suggest that you think about it.
This has been super valuable.
Great.
Looking ahead, what trends or industries or skills you're most excited about over the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, trends, macroeconomic trends, I think are important. AI is definitely changing the way that businesses are operating. I don't know if you saw a really recent, this was just from last week. I saw that in China, they just passed a law. So it's no longer legal to replace a human with an AI. Like you can use AI to empower the human, but you can't replace a human worker with
Yeah.
an AI agent. So I think we're going to see a pretty interesting difference between how AI is used in the West and how AI is used, maybe not China, or I mean, maybe not Asia, but China specifically. You know, there it's like another tool in your tool belt to make you more efficient. And in Western economies, it's, you know, I think Facebook just announced next week they're laying off another 10% of their workforce because they're replacing those workers with AI. So I don't know. At some point, is there pushback? Is there some kind of a government intervention? I don't know, but I think that one's pretty interesting. That one's pretty interesting to watch.
Thank you so much. Where can listeners learn more about the work you're doing and also connect with you?
Oh yeah, thanks. Beechworks.com. BEECHWERKS. Beechworks.com. That's all about me and my incredible team. I don't do all of this alone. We have a pretty incredible group of people, smart, talented, educated, and really passionate about entrepreneurship and effective business.
Yeah, I'll put the links in the description so that listeners can click and go directly to the site. Once again, thank you so much, Dan. It's been a lovely and
Fantastic.
enlightening conversation.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah, you're
Anytime.
welcome. Thanks for tuning into Wisdom Journey. I hope today's episode gave you practical steps and fresh ideas to keep moving forward. If you found value, be sure to subscribe and share this podcast with a fellow creator or entrepreneur who'd love to learn too. And don't forget to sign up for the newsletter and the link in the description for more resources, experiments, and lessons straight to your inbox. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep walking your own wisdom journey. Yeah.